Now, in the wake of President Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah's bold cabinet appointments and the establishment of the new Ministry of Education, Innovation, Youth, Sport and Culture, conversations around transformational leadership and economic inclusion are taking center stage. One of the most pressing opportunities now lies in how we equip our young people not only to learn, but lead, create and build. For that, business consultant Titus Manuel brings with him a wealth of experience in guiding small businesses and startups through the early stages of growth. And today he now joins us to unpack the critical role of transformative entrepreneurship in reshaping our education system to produce job creators and not just job seekers. Mr. Manuel, good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Thank you so much for making time to talk to us.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Let's just begin with your reaction with regards to President Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah's cabinet appointment and also just the creation of the new Ministry of Education, Innovation, Youth, Sport and Culture. What stood out for you in that regard?
Yeah, actually, this appointment of Her Excellency Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah came at the time where most of the youth were really losing hope within the government. But then she took a bold decision when she came to power. It's like she came with a vision to transform the country. The decision that she took when she came up with a new cabinet really shocked many of us. I was really impressed with the new ministry that was established for Ministry of Education, Innovation, Youth, Sport and Culture. It really stood out for me that now at least they can implement most of things in under one umbrella. Yeah. Things that are really pressing the youth so that we can create youth that are transformed and then they are innovative enough to move into the market so that they can create work for themselves.
Yeah, and the youth are the future adults.
Yes.
Of course. As someone who works closely with small businesses and startups, what does this new renewed focus on innovation and youth development mean for Namibia's entrepreneurial ecosystem?
Yes, this new ministry now, it means it's going to provide an opportunity to train and empower young people starting from schools, because then they are working under the same Ministry of Education, starting from schools so that we can move away from the old traditional way of education where we focus so much on theory. But at least with this part of innovation, now we are at least can say maybe young people are going to be taught transformed ideas, critical thinking, solving problems. These are the needs that we need in a society where we live today.
Yeah. You have a book. It's titled Entrepreneurship Revolution. And in that book, you often speak about transformative entrepreneurship. Can you just explain what this means in a Namibian context with regards to our education system?
Yes, transformative entrepreneurship, it means we need to shift from creating entities that just focus on making profit, and then we focus on creating innovative solutions, addressing the challenges that we face today using the entrepreneurship space. So it means if we're doing business just to sell a product to make money, we should focus more on looking for problems that are faced in our societies so that we can create solutions using the business model. And then from that, we are rewarded with a profit. At the end of the day, as an entrepreneur, you are going to become successful, and the community also is going to benefit economically.
All right.
Yes.
Now, we have so many people who are like, I'm an entrepreneur or I want to become an entrepreneur. But do they understand that they actually have to employ people? Because as an entrepreneur, you're supposed to also be a job creator, right? Do people actually understand that?
Yeah, I think that's where transformative entrepreneurship comes in, because we have this mentality in Namibia where most of the time we have businesses that are offered with tenders and everything. Yeah. But then these businesses do not really exist with infrastructures, with employees and all this. So when we come into business space, we should know we are focusing more on economic growth. So we should know that when we are starting a business, we should focus on building brands. Yeah. Once we build a brand, an entity with its own process and systems, then we can be able to have also our employees that can support the business. And it's much easier. I always tell people, sometimes the reason why the business is not growing is because you are doing everything alone. Yeah. So delegating some tasks to people to assist you, they can also bring in new ideas and then support the business to grow in the long run.
I hear you. How do we move from producing graduates who are job seekers to actually nurturing learners who are able to create and also just be solution thinkers or solution creators? So solution-oriented thinkers. Yes.
Yeah, I think we need to take an intentional decision, just like our president have done already, taking an intentional decision that can move us forward, economic growth. We also need to take intentional decision when it comes to the education system that we have. No one will come and change this. If we keep teaching our learners and students in the old tradition way, we are not going to reach there. We need to bring in now new innovations where we can have simulation, entrepreneurship simulation labs, taking our school learners to be integrated together with the business community. I mean, we have entrepreneurship as a subject at school, but how many teachers really collaborate with entrepreneurs in their community so that these learners can be already linked to some of these people so that they can see how the business community works. When we go with our children for shoppings and all those things, we should not show our children a picture like a shop is somewhere we come and buy. We should also explain to them what goes into a shop, building that shops, what some of the things that they need to know about running such type of businesses, so that when they grow up, they're inspired and say, wow, maybe when I grow up, I also want to own a shop like ShopRite, for example. So these are things that we need to educate, not only a lifestyle and everything, but we should also start teaching our young children from a tender age that they can also become as powerful as somebody who has built pulpits.
Right.
So that they can learn through the process.
Yeah. Now, from your perspective, what do you think are some of the challenges that young people face, or perhaps some of the greatest barriers when it comes to, them starting up their own businesses?
Yeah, basically the general one that is well known is access to finance, which is to acquire their capital.
Yeah.
And then as well as maybe sometimes it's the experience to build up the systems and to run their business. And also in Namibia, we have a small population, maybe access to market also. Sometimes it becomes a challenge if you are focusing on the Namibian market. But then I think the most important one that we should focus on that comes free of charge is our mindset. If you transform yourself and say, I want to do this, and this is my vision, and this is what I'm going to do, with the little that you have, you can be able to push yourself at least to start. Yeah, but then we have a mindset of procrastinating, thinking, okay, once I raise 100,000, then I'll start. Once I get a business banking loan, then I will start. But what are you doing at the current moment so that you can ensure that you have at least demonstrated to start something?
At least start.
Yeah, at least start something. Yes, people will find your way.
Talk to us as to the role perhaps of private sectors and organizations and also just consulting agencies. What role should they play when it comes to bridging the gap between education and also just entrepreneurship?
Yeah, I think with private sectors, I know they have a social corporate responsibilities, but then recently we are focusing more on entertainment that can just make people have fun. We spend so much money. I know it's more about making marketing and ensuring that your business is well known and all those things. Because normally when you're funding these important aspects, it's done like it's in a closed door. Sometimes people won't even know that you contributed this much to this. But then the private sector has a role to play in this, advocating for apprenticeships so that they can at least take in some of the young people who are doing businesses, support them, mentor them, so that they can also grow to the level of but it's a competition, but this is something that we can look at. And then when it comes to agencies that are consulting like us, we are doing, I call myself a mosquito in a room. We might be very small, but we need to make noise so that at least people notice that there's a problem here. And then we also assist a lot where bigger institutions, established institutions with systems cannot reach. For example, systems have programs where they run projects, where they deal with big numbers. But then at least as we can be reached on individual level, we sit and listen to these people, what they are going through, and then we guide them on the relevant information that they really need to establish their business, and also guide them how to run and manage their business on a daily basis.
All right. Mr. Manuel, finally, what message do you have for young Namibians who are currently watching Good Morning Namibia right now, especially those ones with ideas who perhaps feel like they lack tools? Earlier on, you mentioned that capital can also be one of those issues that are hindering the youth to actually come up with these business ideas, or just that they are ready to start. The idea is there, the tools they lack, the capital they lack, but they definitely do have that confidence. Perhaps some of them lack that confidence. What is your message to them this morning?
Yes, I think we have the potential. As young people, we have the potential. We went through education, we were taught at school, we learned something. What we need to do is we need to put our minds together and practice. Only practice can make us to stand out or to know what is really out there in the world. As much as we are really looking for the job will not come by itself. There's a term that we use that is saturated. So we can say our government, most of the private sectors have come fully to the maximum capacity. So what we need to do is to create new entities that can also create openings for new vacancies and all those things. So as a young person sitting out there, you must have a vision for yourself, what you want to achieve in life. Either it's in the corporate world or in the business sector. But then it's very important. Most people will say not everyone can become a business person. But then we have titled business to people who have failed at school. Like only when you have failed, that's when you must do business. Business is supposed to be a thriving career for many of us young people. So the moment we start taking up those challenges, especially if you have been working for many years, it's time you start putting something aside so that it can support your daily employment. So that while you are working, you are creating a business, at least there should be a transition of people who have worked for too many years, moving out of the working sector, running their businesses, so that young people who are graduating also can come in, because the system is now saturated. But then if we force the young one without experience that they're the one who should create their jobs, how are they going to create it if they don't even have experience, they don't have money, they don't have anything? I think the shift should be moved to people who have been working for too long to also start putting something on the side so that we can start creating a system that can support us and create employment for others.
All right. Well, Mr. Manuel, it was a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much for joining us on the platform.
You are always welcome, and thank you for having me.
All right. Good morning, Namibia. Continue.